The brain-spirit relationship and death. Introduction. Since the beginning of human thought, the greatest mystery has been the link between life, consciousness, and death. What animates a body of flesh and bone? What makes a child cry at birth, dream in sleep, or smile at love? And what happens to that spark when the body grows cold and still? Science explains much about the body and the brain. It tells us that electrical impulses leap across synapses, that neurons form patterns, and that consciousness seems to arise from the activity of the nervous system. Yet science stops at a crucial threshold. It can describe the machinery, but it cannot explain the experience, the qualia, of being alive. Mystical traditions, by contrast, have always insisted that life is more than the physical. From the Qur'an to the Upanishads, from the writings of Plato to the Tibetan Bardo Thödol, humanity has been told that spirit interpenetrates matter, that the body is a vessel and the soul a traveler. Death, in this vision, is not annihilation but transition, a doorway from one form of being to another. In this essay we will explore the brain-spirit relationship and the mystery of death, weaving together mystical teachings, religious traditions, and metaphors from science. We will examine how the brain radiates energy that shapes the personal spirit, how the spirit connects to the grand spirit that underlies existence, and how death is the release of the spirit from its physical anchor. This exploration is not offered as dogma but as a poetic map, a synthesis of images and insights gathered from many traditions. Its purpose is not to close the mystery but to deepen our wonder and sharpen our awareness of life's sacred journey. Chapter 1. The emergence of the personal spirit. The development of a human being is a marvel. From a single fertilized cell, an entire organism unfolds: brain, heart, limbs, nerves. But traditions insist that at a certain stage, something more occurs: the awakening of spirit within flesh. In Islamic narrations, this occurs at 120 days after conception, when an angel breathes the ruh into the fetus. In Hinduism, the eternal Atman is said to descend into the developing body. Jewish mysticism speaks of the neshama entering to animate life. Modern mystics describe the brain beginning to radiate electromagnetic waves at this stage, giving rise to what they call a holographic radial body, the personal spirit. This body is not the cosmic spirit itself, but a subtle field shaped by the brain. Imagine the brain as a transmitter, broadcasting waves that form an energetic double surrounding the physical form. Just as a radio station sends signals that can be decoded into music, the brain's radiations take the form of thought, memory, and identity. The personal spirit is this subtle field, a living hologram that carries the imprint of every mental activity. It is the energetic twin of the body, present throughout life and surviving beyond physical death. Ancient parallels. The Egyptians called this subtle double the ka, which accompanied the person after death. The Greeks spoke of the eidolon, a phantom body experienced in dreams and visions. In Indian philosophy, it is the sukshma sharira, the subtle body. Theosophists describe it as the etheric double. All these terms describe the same phenomenon, the recognition that the human being is more than material, that there exists an energetic twin woven of consciousness. The spirit as archive. Every thought, every image, every dream is impressed upon this holographic body. The brain generates them, but the spirit records them. Thus the personal spirit becomes an archive of meaning, a library of personality, memory, and imagination. This explains why mystical traditions speak of judgment not only for actions but for thoughts. The Qur'an states that even an atom's weight of deed is recorded. The Upanishads affirm that karma arises from intention as much as from action. In effect, the personal spirit is the storage device in which all of life's meanings are preserved. Chapter 2. The grand spirit and the field of existence. If the personal spirit is the holographic projection of the brain's radiations, then what is the greater field from which all projections emerge? Mystics call this the grand spirit, the infinite, universal consciousness that underlies creation. Spirit as cosmic reality. In Sufism, this is al-Ruh al-Azam, the Great Spirit, the breath of the merciful. In Christianity, it is the Holy Spirit, present before creation. In Hinduism, it is Brahman, the boundless consciousness manifesting as all forms. In Taoism, it is the Tao, the ineffable source of all. This spirit is not separate from creation but woven through it. Every object is a crystallization of meaning within the grand spirit. A tree is the meaning, tree, condensed into trunk and leaves. A star is the meaning, star, condensed into plasma and gravity. A brain is the meaning, consciousness generator, condensed into neurons and synapses. Plato called these archetypal meanings the forms. The Kabbalah describes them as divine sphirot. The Qur'an proclaims that God says, "Be," and it is, meaning itself taking form. Thus the personal spirit is not apart from the grand spirit but an expression of it, like a wave within the ocean. The brain as receiver. This is why inspiration often feels like a gift. Poets, prophets, scientists, and saints alike describe ideas arriving as sudden illuminations. The brain, in such moments, is not inventing but receiving, tuning into the frequencies of the grand spirit. Jalal al-Din Rumi said, "The lamps are different, but the light is the same." The brain is the lamp, spirit is the flame. Chapter 3. The radiations of the brain. Mystical teachings describe the brain as a radiant organ, producing 4 kinds of waves that shape both the personal spirit and the wider world. 1. Radiation that forms the spirit. The first radiation is the foundation, the waves that shape the holographic radial body. As neurons fire, their energy projects into the subtle field, giving form to the spirit that mirrors and records brain activity. 2. Positive and negative entities. The second radiation splits into 2. When the brain vibrates in harmony with hope and love, it produces luminous beings. When it vibrates with fear and anger, it produces shadowy beings. Traditions have always described such beings. Angels and demons in Christianity and Islam, peaceful and wrathful deities in Tibetan Buddhism, tulpas in shamanic traditions, all can be seen as products of human radiations, surrounding the person in life and awaiting them in death. 3. Disseminated thought waves. The third radiation is expansive. It broadcasts thought waves into the collective field. Like radio signals, these waves can be picked up by receptive minds. This explains why multiple inventors may discover the same idea at once, or why artistic movements arise simultaneously across continents. It also explains the sudden flash of inspiration, "I have an idea." Perhaps it was already radiating from another mind. Carl Jung's concept of the collective unconscious can be viewed as this vast cloud of overlapping thought waves. 4. Directed waves. The fourth radiation is specific and intentional. Unlike general broadcasts, these waves are aimed at another person. They carry both meaning and energy, activating circuits in the recipient's brain. Prayer, blessings, curses, telepathy, all are examples of directed radiation. Mystics speak of the power of concentrated intention, parapsychologists experiment with remote influence. Both point to the reality that consciousness is not confined to one skull but can reach across distance. Chapter 4. The intellect and the illusory self. The brain radiates, the spirit records, but what of the intellect, the self-aware I? Stages of intellect. The first stage is recognition of individuality, the child seeing itself in the mirror and saying, "That is me." This marks the birth of personal intellect. The second stage is recognition of reality beyond the self, the seeker who asks, "Who am I really?" Through reflection, meditation, or devotion, the intellect begins to see that the ego is an illusion overlaying a deeper reality. The ego as illusion. In Sufi thought, the ego is the nafs. In Hinduism, it is a hamkara. In Buddhism, it is the bundle of aggregates, skandhas, empty of permanent essence. This ego self is uploaded into the spirit just like memories and thoughts. It is a useful fiction, necessary for functioning in the world, but ultimately unreal. Mystics emphasize the importance of transcending the ego to discover the luminous reality of spirit. The Gospel of Thomas says, "When you know yourselves, you will be known, and you will realize you are the children of the living Father." This knowing is not of the ego but of the spirit. Chapter 5. Spirit and Body, a Magnetic Bond. The personal spirit does not float freely during life. It is tethered to the body by the bioelectrical activity of the nervous system. The electric web. Every nerve impulse generates a tiny electrical charge. Together, billions of such charges create a field that permeates the body. This field acts like a magnetic net, holding the spirit close to the physical frame. Eastern traditions mapped these currents as nadis or meridians, channels through which life force flows. The chakras, energy centers along the spine, correspond to nerve plexuses. Practices like yoga, qigong, or acupuncture aim to harmonize these currents, strengthening the bond of body and spirit. Life as electricity. From the scientific view, life is bioelectrical activity. From the mystical view, life is spirit tethered by magnetism. These are two ways of describing the same phenomenon. As long as electricity flows through nerves and synapses, the spirit remains bound to matter. When the current ceases, the bond dissolves. The magnetic pull is lost, and the spirit is released. That moment is death. The brain-spirit relationship and death. Chapter 6. Death, the release of the spirit. At the appointed hour, the body begins to falter. The heartbeat slows, the lungs grow shallow, the neurons fire irregularly. Eventually, the bioelectrical current ceases. With it, the magnetic tether that binds the spirit to the flesh is cut. The withdrawal of energy. Religious traditions describe this process vividly. In Islamic narrations, the spirit leaves by being drawn upward from the toes, producing numbness that spreads through the body. Mystics describe a sense of heaviness turning to lightness, followed by a sudden expansion, as if the soul had slipped out of its cocoon. Near-death experiences echo these reports. Patients often describe floating above their bodies, watching doctors at work, feeling utterly real and conscious even though their physical senses were stilled. Many speak of moving through a tunnel of light, greeted by loved ones or beings of radiance. The loss of magnetic pull. From an energetic perspective, this is the loss of the body's magnetic pull. Just as a balloon slips free when released, the spirit lifts away. Death may be sudden or gradual, but the moment of separation is instantaneous, the tether is broken, and the spirit is free. Joy or suffering. What the spirit encounters first is shaped by the radiations it generated during life. Those who cultivated love and trust meet luminous presences, those who nurtured fear and anger meet darker forms. Thus the first moments of death are either blissful or terrifying, not by arbitrary judgment, but by resonance with one's own creations. Chapter 7. The Intermediary Realm. Having separated from the body, the spirit awakens in an intermediary realm. The Barzakh. In Islam, this realm is called Barzakh, the barrier between life and resurrection. The soul is said to rest there, visited by angels, tested by visions, comforted or punished according to its inner state. The Bardo. In Tibetan Buddhism, it is called the Bardo, a 49-day interval where consciousness encounters radiant lights and deities, peaceful or wrathful. These figures are projections of one's own mind, magnified and unavoidable. The text advises recognition. O noble one, these are your own thoughts, do not be afraid. Purgatory and Karma Loka. Christian theology speaks of purgatory, where the soul is purified through fire before entering heaven. Hindu thought describes Karma Loka, a realm where karmic debts unfold and are balanced before the next incarnation. Across traditions, the principle is the same: the soul faces the atmosphere it has created. The grave is not simply soil, it is a state of consciousness. Just as dreams are vivid though the body lies asleep, so the after-death realm is vivid though the corpse lies inert. Chapter 8. The Survival of Thought. If brain radiations shape the spirit, what becomes of them after death? Do thoughts vanish with the body? Mystics say no, thought survives. The broadcast continues. The thought waves emitted in life remain in the subtle field of humanity. Just as sound can echo in a canyon long after the shout, so thoughts can echo in the spiritual atmosphere long after the thinker is gone. This explains why the words and presence of saints, prophets, and visionaries continue to inspire centuries later. Their physical bodies are gone, but their radiations remain accessible. Those who tune their minds to similar frequencies still receive inspiration. Collective unconscious and Akashic record. Carl Jung described the collective unconscious as a shared reservoir of images and ideas. Mystics call it the Akashic record, a cosmic library containing all events and thoughts. Islam calls it the preserved tablet. Christianity refers to the Book of Life. Each symbol expresses the same truth: nothing is lost. Inspiration and telepathy. When a scientist suddenly discovers a breakthrough, or an artist dreams a melody, it may be because they have tapped into this shared field. Mystics consciously practice this through prayer, meditation, and connection with spiritual masters, believing that thoughts radiated in purity continue to guide. Chapter 9. Implications for life. If all our thoughts survive and radiate, then life carries profound responsibility. The weight of thought. Every thought is an act of creation. Anger radiates shadows, compassion radiates light. The beings we generate will greet us in death. Thus life is the workshop of the afterlife. Jesus taught, "Blessed are the pure in heart." The Qur'an affirms, on that day, nothing will benefit except a sound heart. The Buddha declared, all experience is preceded by mind. The sages agree, purity of thought is the essence of salvation. Practices of transformation. To refine the spirit, traditions offer many practices. Prayer aligns the personal spirit with the grand spirit. Meditation calms chaotic waves and brings clarity. Charity and kindness generate luminous companions for the afterlife. Confession, repentance, and forgiveness dissolve heavy residues. Each practice is a way of shaping the radiations we will carry beyond the grave. Love as the supreme vibration. Above all stands love. Mystics describe it as the highest frequency, the vibration that harmonizes all others. The first epistle of John says, God is love. Rumi sang, love is the bridge between you and everything. The Bhagavad Gita praises devotion as the highest path. To live in love is to prepare for a radiant death. Chapter 10. The Eternal Horizon. The journey does not end in the intermediary realm. Ultimately, the personal spirit returns to the grand spirit, dissolving into the infinite. Union beyond self. Christianity calls this the beatific vision, seeing God face to face. Sufism calls it fana, annihilation in the divine. Hinduism proclaims it as realization that Atman is Brahman. Buddhism calls it nirvana, the extinction of craving. The metaphors differ, but the essence is one: the drop returns to the ocean, the spark to the flame, the wave to the sea. Judgment as unveiling. Judgment is not arbitrary but inherent. The soul meets its own truth, the luminous beings it nurtured, the shadows it created. Heaven and hell are resonances of one's own radiations. Divine mercy, however, can transform even the darkest soul, cleansing its spirit through grace. Death as homecoming. Thus death is not an enemy but a passage. Just as birth was a transition from the womb to the world, so death is a transition from the world to spirit. The mystic learns to die before dying, loosening the ego's grip and living already in the light of eternity. Conclusion: living in the light of death. We have traced the arc from brain to spirit, from spirit to death, from death to the eternal. The brain radiates, the spirit records, death releases, the soul journeys, thought survives, and all returns to the grand spirit. What does this mean for us? It means that every moment matters. Every thought is a seed. Every act shapes our destiny. To live with this awareness is to live with reverence, to purify the mind, to cultivate compassion, to radiate love. Death is not the end but the unveiling of truth. The spirit we shape now is the spirit we will carry into eternity. So let us live wisely. Let us generate waves of light, not shadows. Let us tune our minds to the frequency of love, so that when death comes, it finds us ready, radiant, and free. Sparkles if you found inspiration in this exploration.